Thank you, Patsy. I'm Shari Brunes, and I am co-hosting today Optimizing GED Manager for Recruitment and Student Success. I am the site manager for Hutchinson Adult Education. My contact information is on the screen, and I'm presenting with Mellissa. Mellissa, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Mellissa Hulstrand. Sorry, I'm not showing my face. I do have an eye infection, so I apologize for that. I am the new Minnesota State Relationship Manager for GED and responsible for coordinating all GED managers for GED matters for ABE in Minnesota. I have been with GED for many years in several training and support roles. I like that I have the opportunity to share important information with all of you, but more importantly, learn about the successes and challenges of programs across the state. So to begin our presentation, let me give you some information about Prep Connect. My goal is to cover the benefits of Prep Connect, what it looks like for testers, the many different ways they can connect, and how you can add your prep center and get access to GED Manager. Here are some of the main benefits. It does increase awareness of adult education programs with GED candidates. It promotes programs through our GED website, and it connects more students with programs to drive completion and success rates. It also improves adult education programs access and management of student information. We do have some information about GED Prep Connect on the GED website. This is what that part looks like. As you can see, it gives you some information about what Prep Connect is, and there are a few links listed as well. But I think the best way to understand Prep Connect is to see how it works, how we raise student awareness, and that begins in the GED.com account for current and new students. For anyone who's creating a GED account, one of the questions they are asked is, are you interested in attending GED classes? And as you can see, it lists some of the benefits of being associated with a prep center, and you see one of our GED graduates, Felix, is featured on this page. We have included a quote from him that shows how important being associated with a prep center was for him. If the tester says yes, then they will see the next screen, which is this. GED candidates can select a center on this page. Students can remove their connection to a center at any time. The zip code that was entered in the first page of account setup will be displayed here. And you see the red circle in a list and map of nearby prep centers will be displayed. If students are thinking they would like to be associated with one of these centers and would like an adult educator from one of these prep centers to call them, all they have to do is click on the select button. And if a tester or student selects a prep center, that means they are interested in attending or currently attending. And by choosing a center, they agree to share their demographic and score information with the center. Please note that the student is not required to select a center to receive adult education services or to complete GED registration. Since this is optional, they can just click on the continue button to get to the next screen if they want. If a student selects one of the prep centers, the next page they see will look like this. Above the map, the name and address of the selected prep center will be listed. And if the student has second thoughts about the prep center they chose, they can click on the Remove Selection button to remove the prep center from their profile. Please note that students can only select one prep center at a time. Let's now look at the additional ways a student can connect to a prep center in their account. So the student will notice prep center messaging in a few different places in their account. For example, if students don't select a prep center when they are first presented with the option to do so, they can opt into this feature later. One area they can go to is the Study tab on their dashboard. One of the tiles is devoted to GED test prep centers, and students can click here to select a prep center. Again, doing so will give the prep center access to the student scores and demographic information and let them know that the student wants to be contacted. If a student is already working with a prep center, they can give that center access to their scores by clicking here and selecting the prep center they have been going to. Students can also select a prep center by going to the My Scores tab and clicking on this symbol at any time, that symbol that you see in the top right of your screen. Or they can click on the link that is listed on the enhanced score report. They can even scroll down on the dashboard of their account and they will see the Find a Local Class option. Yet another way that students can connect to a prep center is in the Edit Profile section of their GED account. If they have not selected a prep center, this part of their account will look like this. It will say you have not selected a test prep center. After students select a prep center, the name and full address of the center will be listed in the Edit Profile section of their account. Again, if the student wants to deselect the prep center, they can do so at any time. All they have to do is click on Edit Prep Center Selection to remove it. Now, if your prep center is not listed on the GED website and you would like it to be listed, please complete the following form and Brad Haskamp will review the request. Then I or one of my colleagues will go in and add the approved prep centers to our website. We will list that link here shortly, as well as Brad's email address and my email address if you'd like to email us with your request. Here's what that form looks like. For the email address field, please be sure to enter your work email address and not your personal email address. Shari is going to talk to you about the benefits of having access to GED Manager here shortly, so you can see the demographic and score information of the students who select your prep center. If you don't have access to GED Manager and would like access, please go to the Educators and Admins part of the GED website and then go to the GED Manager section and click on the Request Access link. We will post that link here shortly as well. This is what the form looks like. Again, for email, please state your work email. At the bottom where it asks what GED Manager functions you need to perform, you could just state that you are looking for Prep Connect access, and then we will forward the form to Brad to review. Now, before I hand things over to Shari, do you have any questions for me?
So again, you can use the chat box and we'll monitor those. You're welcome to raise your hand. And Brad put your emails, his and Melissa's in the chat box there. So if you do have questions after this session, you can certainly contact them directly.
Perfect. Thanks, Patsy.
All right, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. So.
All right, if there aren't any questions, then I will take it from here. Thank you, Melissa. Again, my name is Shari, and I'm going to go over what it looks like as an ABE practitioner when I am using GED Manager. We'll give you some tips and tricks. So when I log in, this is the home screen that I see. There's a lot happening here, and I want to go over it. At the top, you'll see the blue, I call it the navigation bar. So right now we're looking at the home screen. And there are many boxes of information on this screen. So top left, you'll see actions. This lists your last login date. You will need to reset your password periodically at GED Manager. So this tells you when you're due to reset your password. Below that is what's new. This area will tell you advertisements, promotions, perhaps some tech or IT updates that will be happening. And note that my screenshots were taken last summer. We also presented this for Summer Institute, and so things are a little bit out of date, but they still apply. And you'll notice on each of these tiles, there's a little plus and minus in each corner. You can customize the look of your homepage by clicking on the plus or I'm a teacher, I say plus and minus. I don't know if that's what they're actually called, but if you click on those links, you can change the look of your home screen. Let's skip over to the upper right. In this box is contact information. So at your fingertips, how to reach out to GED Testing Service for test taker support, transcripts and diplomas, accommodations. The next box below that on the right side is called helpful links. I'm sure you'll want to explore this probably later tonight for, you know, what you do on a Friday night for fun, but there's a lot of good stuff here. I would point your attention especially to the student study guides. These are great links for students, scoring tools, all sorts of things. So the links to me are more student focused. Below that, near the bottom, you'll see helpful documents. If you want to review anything I've gone over today, the helpful documents really tell you how to navigate GED Manager step by step. So great tools. You can also use the Manage Enrollment tools on the way bottom right to go to your GED Prep Connect. There's many ways to get there. I'll show you a few of them. When I log in, and I use GED Manager just about every day, I would say that I'm working, I always look at the statistics button or box at the bottom left. This is my student news, and I'm monitoring this for students that have expressed interest. Like Mellissa said, these students are creating their account, and if they choose Hutchinson Adult Education, my program, they will turn up here. So they're indicating that they'd like to perhaps work with our program to get support for earning their GED. So when I click on the number right now, and I want to note, I wouldn't typically let this get up to the number 11. That would be a lot. We maybe have 2 or 3 students per week that we add to GED Manager. And I'm checking it more often. I kind of let the numbers build up so I would have something to work with and show you. So when I click on that number, this takes me to my GED Prep Connect page. And what I like about it is that I have all of my student information here. The students that are interested, I'll see their name, their email, their phone, all of that, and their enrollment status. I want to point out this column here says that they're interested and the date that they indicated their interest. Students show up here in a couple of ways. So number one, the most typical, they've created their account at GED.com, they've selected you, and you get notified. Once in a while though, I'll have a student turn up in this list as interested, but I've been working with them for quite some time. Well, if you check their birthday, that student has likely turned 19 recently. So students who are 17 and 18 do not show up in our GED Manager program until the age waiver is taken care of or they turn 19. Took me a while to figure that out. There are 5 different enrollment status options in GED Manager. So the first status is interested. We've talked about that. The second is contacted. So when a student is interested, I will reach out and contact them in some way. And I'll show you some examples of that in a moment. Once you contact the students, you can leave notes for yourself. Once they're enrolled in my program, I do change their status to enrolled. So to me, when they're enrolled, that means I've got their information, they're in SID, and I'm starting to use, I'm counting their contact hours. Then I would mark them as enrolled. You can change their status to credentialed once they've earned their GED. I didn't even know about this, to be honest. I have a couple different ways to run the report to show who my passers are, and I'll go over those in a few minutes. You can also mark a student as dismissed. Seems a little harsh, but if a student has moved away, maybe you've contacted them and they're really not interested, they've transferred to another program. If you do choose the dismissed, as their status, you will have to indicate a reason why. So once a student is interested, I reach out to them typically by email. So I will send them an email. I'll show you that. But if I go to the next screen, you're going to start reading it. And I'll share the material. So you have access to these to customize, take what works for you and adapt and change it. But I would just reach out and send something like this to students. I try to seem friendly, upbeat. I give them a little bit of incentive here. You know, hey, we're going to help pay for some of those practice tests if you work with us. I reference and link the website because we have a lot of information there. Just warm and friendly. Another way you could reach out is to send a text. Another teacher said that they send a message via Remind, which is a great idea. Again, I just have this sort of canned email that I send or text that I send. Might tweak it a little bit, but basically I just reach out. Once I've made that contact attempt, I can update the student's status. So here, if you click on the edit button under the action column, you get the option to update their status. And I would then mark that I've contacted the student. And then in the box, I can type notes to myself. I'll remind myself that I sent an email and the date that I sent it, or left a voicemail, whatever my contact and outreach attempt might have been. It's really helpful to leave notes. I don't know about you guys, but lately I can't remember what I did this morning, let alone a week or two ago. This is a sample from another program. It's a sample list, but when you're looking at your Prep Connect enrollment, and here's your enrollment status, I want to point out that, now I would change it. If I have a note on them, I've probably reached out, but anytime that you have left a note for yourself, you get this little page icon. If you hover over it, you'll get a pop-up and you can read the notes that you wrote. If you want to add or change anything, you can go ahead and click on the edit button. But that's a helpful marker to know that you've got information there. The next tab that I want to cover is the second one at the top in the blue bar. We're talking about Manage Student. This is probably what I use the most for GED Prep Connect. When I click, the first option is the student search. If I type in a few letters of the student's last name, results will pop up and I can click on them and get to the student's report. I have permission from Desiree to share her information. I've blocked out her contact information and such, but this is the student detail report that I can see on all of my students that are in my GED Prep Connect. Super helpful. Number one, the contact information at the top. So if a student, one way I use it is if a student has stopped out for a period of time and comes back and says, hey, Shari, I can't even remember my GED info. I can help that student by saying, okay, let me look you up. Here's the email address you used. And the student might be able to then click on forgot password if they still have access to the account. If that doesn't work, I do have the student's GED ID number that I can give them. And I would then encourage them to contact GED testing services to recover their account and get access. We really don't want students to be creating two accounts. I also use this to double check and make sure that the student contact information at GED Manager matches exactly what I have entered into our SID database. As I look down here, I get the student's testing history. It really tells a story and it helps me create a plan for the student to continue and do their testing. So you'll see the dates that the student took GED Ready practice tests and their official tests. You'll notice this was a fun story. This student surprised me. She took last summer in July, she took a GED Ready social studies test. You can see here. She had struggled. She was ready to pass it, and she took it twice last fall. She struggled. And then this summer, she just thought, I'm going to do it. And on a Saturday morning, she did online proctored testing and called me and said, Shari, guess what? So it was really fun, but you can see the UP and OP delivery. So that's the online proctored testing. Super helpful. Another thing you can do is each of these subject test results are a live link to the results from that test. So when you click on them, you can go into a score report. So you can see the student's score, the date, kind of where it ranks on a percentile basis. And then your next option is to link your study material. So in normal days, when we're meeting face-to-face in the classroom, in my program, we use Steck Vaughn a lot and Kaplan. So I would choose from here, you can link a study material. And then once you create that link, it's going to reference the Kaplan book and tell the student and you exactly what the student needs to study, which skills are needed to improve upon in order to get into that green zone of 145 plus. This score report is available to the students too when they log into their account, but it's helpful for me as a teacher to be able to see it as well. And right now with COVID, since many of us are complete distance learning, I'm linking to Edmentum. That's one of the options. So I would link that score report to Edmentum, and then we talk about the plan from there. So back to the Manage Student tab, there is a report for credentialed status. So if you want to just search and see the students that you've marked as credentialed, you could do it from here. Credentialed means that they've earned their GED. I personally have a different way, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. I feel like I keep you hanging, keep you wanting more. The next tab under Manage Student is to manage my Prep Connect enrollment. So here I will see all of my students, those that are interested, those that are enrolled, those that are credentialed, and so on. One way that I like to use this report is I come over here, and each of these tabs at the top, it has the little up and down arrows. So when I click on those, I can filter and sort. So I like to sort the enrollment status. And when I do that, I can circle back and see who I've contacted. Sometimes I need to update their status to enrolled, or I might read through the notes that I've written to myself and contact them again. So my sequence for contacting students is typically I will email them. Maybe a week or two later, I will send another email, just, hey, just checking in. Let me know if you got this message. And then I will call the students maybe a week or two after that to just introduce myself and offer support. You know, many times they don't pick up, but sometimes they do, and they're grateful for the response and the connection. And sometimes just hearing a voice that's willing to offer support kind of encourages them to make that step. Again, to change any, you know, I can't change any student information. I want to make that note. This edit button here, I can update their enrollment status, and that's about it. Any change of address, phone number, email, that all has to be done by the student from within their own account. So I'm just managing the Prep Connect status. The next tab is the reporting tab. There's a lot happening here. Let me go ahead and move this, excuse me. I have to move my Zoom controls so I can see. This is the passer search that I like to use. The difference here is that it has date filters. So if I want to run this report for one program year, I can change it from July 1st on. Or for grant writing, maybe I want to look at the past 3 years. So I can give it a start and end date. I can also change, if I manage multiple test centers, I could filter and sort by my test center. And this will, and then you can view the report. This is how I get my graduation ceremony list each year. I figure out who has passed in the previous 12 months and then go ahead and run my report. You can download it as an Excel spreadsheet, and then you have all the students' contact information, the date they passed, their scores on their tests. You have lots of information. So this is my favorite way. Go to reporting and the passer search. This is how I like to get that list of my credentialed students. Another option under reporting is the student test activity report. And again, this is a robust feature. There are many different reports that you can run here. You can click GED passed and set a date range and see all of the students that have passed their official GED tests. Again, GED below passing would be official GED test results. I can sort and filter for the practice tests, the GED Ready, red, yellow, and green. So that's really nice now since students aren't in the classroom. If I've assigned a voucher or a practice test to their account, then I can use that report to see which tests have been completed. One thing I love to search for is appointment. When I run this test, it shows me which students have a testing appointment. You know, once in a while I have a student who wants to surprise me and take their GED test, but as long as they're in my manager account, I see those appointments. So no surprises. Sometimes I act surprised, but I can also see which students have canceled their appointment for official testing and who was a no-show. Again, any of these reports, you can set a date range. You can filter by exam subject. This is a nice feature. This is the on view, the online proctored testing. If you just want to see results for students who have taken their practice test at home, you can do that. And you can also filter by the test prep center. Mellissa noted that the more information you put in, the faster you might get results. When I search, I feel like things return quickly anyway. So play around with it, try it. Another feature that I use quite a bit is this voucher box. We in Hutchinson, we give vouchers for GED Ready practice tests. We pay for those for students. We have some guidelines. That's a different presentation. But the management of those vouchers can be tricky, especially in a busy ABE classroom. Once in a while, we'll give a voucher to a student and the student will enter it and oh, it comes up that it's invalid, it's already been used, and we don't know which student used that voucher. I can plug in the voucher information. Oh, I tried to make it fancy so I could remember what to talk to you about. You can enter that voucher code, and then if it has been used, you'll see the name of the student. I've tried to block out my student names here for privacy, and the testing activity of what happened with that particular voucher. So I could see that this student took the test on this date. This voucher was used for a science test, and I can also see the score. The last tab to cover for GED Manager is the Admin tab. This one is pretty short and sweet. This is where I will see the name of my program, the address. I'm at Ridgewater College in Hutchinson, and I have checked this box to indicate that I want to receive an email. So anytime a student selects Hutchinson as their Prep Connect Center, I will also receive an email, and that's my reminder to go ahead and reach out to that student. So kind of a nice backup to make sure that I'm keeping up and keeping current with students. One note is that a student who is 17 or 18, again, if they select your program, they will not show up and you won't be able to see their information until that age waiver is taken care of or they turn 19. All right, so I've gone through that pretty quickly. I have not been monitoring the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and open that up now. Does anyone see questions that we need to address?
No questions in the chat, just some comments about the different things that you pointed out, like the reporting tab and how you contact testers once you see that they have selected your prep center, and that they appreciate the awesome tip that you gave on the voucher code.
Yeah, that really, I feel like we lost voucher codes, you know, in the past, in order to track it down and figure out which codes have been used and which haven't. I would get on the phone and call GED testing service and literally read those codes to them over the they probably created that box just because they were sick of dealing with me. But you know, when you're dealing with a code that's $4 to $6, whatever you've paid for them, it's, I don't know, it's worth it to me.
Yes, for sure.
I'd be curious too, how are other people using GED Manager? I'm certainly not an expert. I'm just a seasoned user. So does anyone have anything they'd like to share?
And just a reminder, while some people might be typing, that you can also raise your hand and unmute if you have a question or a comment for Shari and Mellissa.
Yeah, join us. It's more fun when we get to see your face.
Way more fun, yeah.
I miss your face.
While people are, while our attendees are thinking of some questions, I do have a few GED updates. So the first one is that we are in the middle of a GED Ready voucher pilot for being able to purchase and assign GED Ready tests to students via your GED Manager access. So we're just trying to figure out if it meets users' needs and if it solves the problem of voucher management. So that's the first update that I have. The second one is that we have had some excellent webinars over the past few weeks on prepping students for the math test, core instruction activities and games for online classrooms, and 2 on the online proctor test that covered updates we have made over the last few months, which include accommodations, Spanish tests, online retakes. And so I will post the link here shortly that will take you to all of our past webinars. The third update I have is that we have and we will continue to make a few more updates to the GED Ready score report, which include a new printed score report, a new checklist format for the skills list, and a single page view for RLA score reports. And it will also give you the ability to enter comments. And the fourth update that I have, it's something that we started earlier this year. Each month, we are selecting a GED graduate with an inspiring story about their GED journey. So winners receive an iPad, and they are featured on our social media channels. So please take a look at the form. I'm going to post it here, and nominate one of your students.
It's a great idea. I just want to say that I am part of the pilot for assigning the GED Ready voucher codes from within my manager account, and it is wonderful. It is so much easier. I can just go to my manager account. I've purchased vouchers from within that account now and just click and assign to students. And I can also remove them if the student if they don't take that test. I ask students to take a test within 24 hours. If I give them a voucher code, it just takes too long. It makes it difficult to manage the codes if they wait too long to take their tests. So I am really loving that ability to assign from within GED Manager. So hopefully that'll roll out for everyone. The only issue I can't do is because I don't see those 17 and 18-year-olds, I can't assign them their voucher codes. I have to do that the old-fashioned way.
So Shari and Mellissa, there are a couple of comments in the chat. I don't know if you'd want Laura or Linda to perhaps unmute and chime in.
Would love that. Linda, are you willing to speak?
Yeah, I am.
Feel free to come on camera too, Linda. We know you.
We're friends.
We are. You get to see my crazy COVID hair. I do appreciate all the extra tips with the access that I have. I'm the only one at Metro North that's been pulling the information from Prep Connect. Then the information gets forwarded to our main line contact, who then is the one that sends the contact information about each student based on whichever site that they're interested in. But I like that week 2, that week 3 follow-up, because I just feel like when students don't have that one-on-one contact, we're really seeing that we're missing people. And it's scary for them to approach us in the first place, but if they don't have that human contact, it just feels a little disconnected. So just having a personal voice of someone that they can talk to, and maybe just get that affirmation that, yeah, you did reach the right place. Yeah, we want you to be part of our online classes. So I'll be following up with CLT to find out site coordinators or practices that they're currently using. But I assume that they're probably doing that too. I just know how Shari Smith is, and I know how Tammy Bernard is, and so thank you for sharing all the great ideas. So
Good. I'm glad you found something useful. Laura, how about you?
Sorry, I got the sunshine. Hold on. Yeah, no, I use the Prep Connect a lot, checking on manager, just seeing where students are and if they tested. Though I liked your idea about the voucher, because we've had times where they've sat there when we were in the classroom, we always write them down. But now that we're away, it's like, okay, I've sent you codes and I try to write down, who took what, but there's still some that we've missed, and we go to put it in there, like, it's not working. It's like, okay, is it on our end? And so remotely, it's more difficult to find that out. So it's nice to see, it's like, oh, well, yeah, this one's not working because either you typed it in wrong, it is a valid one, but also to see, have they taken the test? Because sometimes I won't see it if they've moved, they'll change their email address or something else. So it's nice to keep checking on that. I too really liked how, when we get information from them saying so-and-so signed up, I follow through right away, but I like your little, quick thing to send them and just have to put their name in there to make it a little personalized, so have it type it up each time. And also updating it. I haven't even thought about updating that. It's like, oh, that would make so much more sense. I put it as they're enrolled or I've contacted, but I don't do anything else since then. So I love that tip. My thing is just when they take the test, I like how we used to connect the material like we're in the classroom. Now remotely, I found out I had to go and I went ahead and purchased the New Readers Press online information, because many of them, their computers and laptops and devices on their phone they can't take the official test. So that's where we're struggling but they can do practicing. So I thought, it's worth purchasing the program where they can practice that's compatible with any device, no matter where they're at, because they're so transient. I just can't get them to take the test, like the OP test, because the computers aren't compatible. Same thing with the TABE. So they're really struggling that way, but at least they can practice. And we do have one test site open in this area, but they just don't get to that one so much. And we just, redid our online proctor certification, Lee and I did, passed it, but we're not going to be open for the unforeseeable future.
Okay. Okay.
But thank you. This was a wealth of information that I definitely going to spend more time on it.
Excellent. I'm so glad. Yeah, I've been working to try to get devices into the hands of students. That's a whole long story, but I found out the hard way that students cannot use Chromebooks for OP testing. And I was in the process of trying to purchase Chromebooks so I could get them in student hands. They're still great for studying, but for OP testing, just make note, you can't use a Chromebook. So, all right, Linda does an awesome job. Thank you for that comment, Shari. And Metro North is going to be part of the GED Ready pilot test. I think if you have any questions about that, reach out to Mellissa. She would connect you and put you in touch with the right people. She knows.
And I know we only have a couple of minutes left here, and I wanted to say that if your prep center is on our website, please check to make sure that the information that's listed is correct. Address, the contact number that's listed. For some of the prep center listings, there is a contact name. So if that has changed, just please check and let Brad and I know about that so we can make those changes. And along the lines of the GED Ready vouchers, if you have unused GED Ready vouchers that have expired or are about to expire, please send me an email with the list of those vouchers, and I will work to get those renewed for you. It is easier if they haven't expired yet. It doesn't take as long, as much time to get it extended. But in any case, if you have unused ones that have expired or about to expire, please send me that list soon, and I will take care of that for you. And I don't see any additional questions here, but I wanted to thank all the attendees. We appreciate you attending our session today. If you have any questions about our session, anything that I could do to help you out, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I appreciate Patsy and Andrea for providing technical support, and obviously to my amazing co-presenter, Shari. She's just wonderful to work with. Shari, any last words?
No, thank you, everyone. Reach out if you have questions. And Mellissa, we appreciate everything you do for us. You're a great leader for our state and very available, which is awesome. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Shari and Mellissa. And just a heads up, your next session begins at 11, so you have a little bit of a break, and you'll use the same agenda you used to navigate to this session to navigate to the next one. So you should all have that link, but I'll drop it in as well, unless someone already got it for me. Let's see. And you have a little bit of a break before you can go to that next session. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.